Hopefully my internet doesn't just randomly go out. Let me know if everyone can see everything. I should tweet that my stream is live now, actually. I will do that. I don't have a mouse over here anymore, so I have to like reach way, way over. How do I see like the bigger view? I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. Is it home? No, that's not it. Is it this one? Nope, that's not it. Why do they want like the notifications so big? I want to see the preview big. I don't know, whatever. Whatever. I don't care. Well, because I want to be able to see, I want to be able to make sure that like the models I'm showing you are visible. There we go. Alright. Alright, I figured it out. Hey, what's up, Phoenix Sniper? Long time no see, man. Can you hear me okay? How do I sound? I'm going to tweet that the stream's going live on my cellular device. Twitter and all that. Yo, let me know if you can hear me. I've got a new microphone, so it should be like a lot better than last time, actually. Alright. I'm super sweaty tonight, too, so I'll be extra shiny. How nice is that? Great. Flying Fuda Force. XXX. Wonderful to see you. Let's see. It's time. Chillhammer is back. That's right. With hanging out with you fine people on twitch.tv/ggdoa. Hashtag winning. No, hashtag chillhammer. We'll do that. Alright. Tweeted. Sweet. I just saw someone tweet, ketchup is the Game of Thrones Season 8 of food. I don't know if I agree with that. I kind of like ketchup. My sound balance is a little bit low. Let me see if I can fix that. I've got a new microphone. You can turn this way up. Check out my arm. Yeah. How's that? Is that good? I'll be leaning forward a little bit more too, so hopefully that helps as well. Volume? I knew what you meant. You meant the balance of quiet versus loud. I got it. I understood you. We're on the same wavelength. Anyway, as you can see, I'm going to be trying to paint some Demons of Corn today. Gonna use the contrast paints, the new contrast paints that have come out. We're gonna use mostly Blood Angels Red. These things are amazing. Yeah, that's right. Almost pay well if you can afford Warhammer. You know, the thing is, honestly, like I've been doing Warhammer stuff for about 2 years or so, like a little bit less than 2 years. And honestly, like it's way more financially accessible than I thought it was. Like if I would have known like how much it actually cost, I would have probably started a lot earlier, because I always thought it was like way too expensive for me to ever do too. Like that's why I just never did it until now. But if you want to just play like a 1,000-point game, which is still a good game of Warhammer, like it's not that much of an investment. Like the biggest investment is like the initial investment to get the paints. And once you have that, like your paints last for, like I have not replaced a single pot of paint I have bought yet. So you don't run out very fast. And I've painted a lot too. So after the initial investment, it's not that bad. Anyway, yeah. I would not have been able to afford it in my teens. I will agree. I'm echoing. Really? Why would I be echoing? Yeah, I don't think I'm echoing, because there's no sound coming out of my speakers at all right now, so I shouldn't be echoing. Yeah, I don't know. Neat. Yeah. Alright, I'm glad it worked for you. Anyway, so just to catch you guys up, they just released these texture paints like last week, and they're really, really neat. They have this sort of like chemical emulsion, basically, that makes it so there's kind of like two different things. You have to really shake these up, which I'll start doing. You have to really shake these up to get them to work right, because basically there's two chemicals in them that kind of like separate, and it pulls some of the pigment down and like pulls pigment off the high edges. So what you're left with is an effect if you do it right, if you control the pigment well enough. There's an effect where you kind of get like shading and a little bit of highlighting all in one. Like this guy was done entirely with contrast paints, and you can see, and this is just one coat. There's no highlighting, there's no shading done on this model at all, but it's pretty good. It looks pretty decent as far as like the effects go. You know, you can see like the raised edges are lighter, the shadows are shadowier. So in terms of like, the idea with these paints are to save time basically. Like if you want to get a bunch of stuff that's just like table ready, where it just looks good from 3 feet away on the table, you're not planning on doing a competition with it or anything like that, then like this is a great paint. Like I was blown away by the results of this. This took me about maybe 10-15 minutes to paint. Like it's amazing. So, and then today I painted this guy actually. This guy is the leader from my Caradron Overlord's Warband and Shadespire. This is 100% contrast paints over silver, and then I dry brush it with a lighter silver. But yeah, the results are just really, really incredible. I'm gonna maybe try to get a little bit more light there. Yeah, that'll help. Yeah, so especially like look at the blue. Look at like the blue on the arms over the silver. It's hard to really show on the webcam, but it's like this nice translucent sort of silvery blue. Everything else, like this is the yellow one. So yeah, the gold is this Yandin yellow, because there's no metallics, but you get a metallic look if you do it over silver. So, see, you like white, like light base coats work the best with these, obviously, but this was done over silver. This was done over Leadbelcher spray with a little bit of dry brushing with a lighter silver with Stormhost. So, yeah, these, yeah, definitely good for painting on a budget for sure. Because as you can see, rather than 3 colors, you just need 1 color basically. So the results are pretty amazing with these. I'm really, really happy with it. My goal is to get all 10 of these Bloodletters done in about 2 hours. I'll see if I can do that or not. This is kind of the first real test of it. I'm doing a 1,000 point Demons of Khorne army just for fun, because I needed bad guys to fight against my Stormcast. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. But I'm kind of doing it step by step. So my first step in this army, you might have seen this on social media, is I painted this guy. This was not with contrast paints. This was before it came out. This is the good old-fashioned method of painting, but this is the leader of my 1,000 point Khorne army. I start at the top. It's a Skull Taker. As you can see, he's a fan of skulls. He's taken quite a few. Wow. Welcome back, Nicole. 48 months. That is insane. You're absolutely... Nobody's ever going to beat that record, by the way. Thank you very much. But this guy was a ton of fun to paint. I did like a base and tried to basically make the lava sort of glow onto the bottom of his cape and his like metal, thingy hanging there. That sounds really bad. But you see what I'm saying? I don't know. His codpiece. I have no idea. Anyway, this guy turned out great, and I'm super happy with him. So he's the leader of my Khorne army, and he's gonna be shaking his metal thingy all over the battlefield soon. But anyway, he needs some friends. So I'm going to do these Bloodletters. I'm going to use the Blood Angels Red, which is pretty bright. Just to give you another quick comparison with the contrast paints. This is a 40k army I'm slowly working on. Sons of the Phoenix color scheme for 40k. So this guy is done the old traditional style. This is done with base, shade, layering. Typical painting methods for Warhammer. And then I'll show you this one I did with contrast paints the other day. Only contrast paints. They've got a paint called Apothecary White that does a really good job of shading whites but maintaining that bright color. You can see on like the arm and stuff. I did like the gray on the gun. But the point is like on the edges you can see almost like a highlighting effect as the pigment pulls away. Now the shoulder is a little bit too pink. I got a darker purple to use instead of this. But overall, again, just to get it done fast, it's pretty solid. Hey, what's up, Sombrero? Good to see you, man. If you're ever back in LA, let me know. Cockropes, there we go. That's the proper term. You're right. Dude Bro 9 has got it. But anyway, yeah, and the gold is actually just the yellow again over the white. And even the skin tone, like if you look at the skin tone, it's really not that bad. That's a Dark Oath Flesh, I believe it is. But yeah, so the contrast paints are basically amazing is what they are. So the yellow contrast for that, I'm pretty sure I used Eandon yellow again. I might have used Nazdrag yellow for the gold. I honestly cannot remember, so I apologize for that. Yeah. So, goodbye, Nicole. Thanks for stopping by anyway. These streams are going to be like at different times anyway, as basically I'm going to do a painting stream on Mondays, but when during the day that happens to be remains to be seen because my schedule's always changing, which is the reason why I didn't do these streams for a long time, because my schedule's just been insane, you know, since Overwatch League started up again and all that kind of stuff. So I finally got tired of like not doing these streams because I really enjoy them. And so here we are. So at some point on Monday, every Monday, unless I'm literally not in my apartment all day, we're going to do a painting stream. I'll let you know what time of day it's going to be, like day of or day before, hopefully. Yeah. You can, you know, Pixie, you can always, I would do commissions for a fellow caster. I would do that. I'm not cheap, but I do them. I give you a discount, man. Oh yeah? Sombrero testing painting as well. Cool. Ooh, interesting. Controlled by Twitch chat messages. See, like, you're way more into the streaming thing than I am, man. I just, like, I don't stream that much. I don't think I'll ever get into streaming that much. So, I control my cameras here. What I would like to do is get a better camera for the actual minis themselves. But I think this does a good job. I have a decent Logitech camera that does a decent job. So anyway, this should be shaken enough. And as with any like very liquidy paint, I always take a little dot of sticky tack and put it on the bottom of the pot so that I do not hit it and knock it all over my desk, which I have done with many shades many times. So anyway, it should be shaken enough. And I think I'm just gonna grab one of these guys and I'm just gonna use a medium shade brush, so a little bit on the larger side. I think mine is a 930E, if I remember right, for the cameras. And yeah, I'll just start going. I think I'm going to try to avoid the blade of the sword. I'll try to avoid the sword in general and just do like the flesh and stuff, but we'll see what happens. But so the idea with this is, as you put it on, to make sure, just like any shade, that it doesn't pool, you know, too much. And I noticed too with these paints specifically, you really need to make sure that you hit every single point, because if you don't, then you're gonna end up with these like white you know, dots essentially on your model, which I think is especially vital with corn. I'm gonna go over the horns with black later, but for now red is fine. You're gonna see some mold lines on these guys because I wasn't too careful when I was clipping them out and getting them ready and all that kind of stuff, but as is, I think they'll be a good decent battle line. But as you can see, it kind of goes on like a shade, and I really can't I can't take too much time and like stop and look at chat while I'm doing this, because I need to like keep track of it. I'm just gonna go ahead and do everything here. I'm gonna go over and paint over this tongue later, but for now I'm just gonna go on this. And it doesn't dry very quickly, so you've got some time, you know, to work with it, but you don't have a ton of time. So you really do, once you've started a model, you're really kind of committing to finishing it. Let's see. These guys have a lot of like weird little angles to get under, which is kind of irritating already. But we'll see what happens. But as you can see, it kind of operates like a shade, right? It's gonna look really shiny and really glossy while it's wet, but it does dry to sort of like a matte finish. It's a little bit shinier than your average like base paint or something, but it does have like mostly a matte finish. I'm just gonna do everything on this side, and then I'm gonna turn it and do everything on the other side. And again, what I'm watching for is just like pooling, like around this horn is a little bit too much. So I'm going to pull some paint away from there with a brush. I'm just going to apply it to the other side. Make sure I get the back of this horn here. You can't miss your horns. The back of the bicep. These guys have like so many little spots you can miss, right? It's going to be a little bit tricky with these guys. The bottom of the hand. And if I hit the sword, it's not the end of the world, because the sword's going to be mostly black. But I want to try to avoid the sword for now. Although, again, like, it's not the biggest deal. So, the advertising for these paints, they use the tagline, "one thick coat," right? Because it's always been, like, the Warhammer joke where, you know, too thin coats, which is the mantra you should definitely be following if you're painting the traditional way. And with these guys, they're like, oh, finally, one thick coat, right? And to a certain extent, that's correct, but you still do really need to be aware of, you know, again, the paint pooling, where you're putting the paint, that kind of stuff. I'm going to be a little bit careful around this sword, but not too careful because I can always come in and fix it later. I'm going to be painting over that area anyway. So once I get this guy all covered, once I make sure all the surfaces are covered, which is getting close, need to get underneath here. I should remember to blink too. My eyes are getting dry already. Alright, there we go. And armpit area, neck area. These guys are going to have tons of areas that are going to want to hide from you when you're painting like this. So, there we go. Plenty there. I can see a little bit of spots between the fingers and all that. I'm going to go through. There's a bit of pooling there. Don't be afraid to like dry out your brush a little bit so you can pull the paint off easier. I don't want it pooling too much because it really does, the pigment really does a nice job of like pulling down. I'm going to pull this out from under the tail a little bit. Yeah, pull this away here. And I would rather it not be shaded enough and add more shade later than have too much and have like big pooled areas, you know, right? And I'm going to paint my finger, of course, because why not? That's always part of Warhammer as well. But overall, I'm pretty happy with where we're at on this guy. So I'm just going to wash out my brush really quick here. I put it on there straight from the bottle, man. There's no reason not to. You don't need to add any water to it. So there's no reason not to just pull it straight out of the bottle and use it like you would, you know, a glaze or a shade or something like that. And let's look at the results. Ooh, I see I missed a part on his hand here. Back here. Look at that. Disaster averted. Little bits on his hand here. A little bit on his thumb over here. Yeah, you really want to make sure you get every single little bit. Missed a little bit back here. That's it. This is going to be the hardest part, is making sure I hit all the tiny little areas. I don't miss any. I can see a little bit here and here. That's the trickiest part. Aside from that, a little bit under the horn. And the back of this. See what I mean? You really got to be careful. I'm learning as I paint with this right now. Okay, that should be good. Alright. Yeah, remember to blink. Yeah, I'm trying. Like I said, I'm not very good at remembering to blink. So let's take a moment and look at this guy. So, as you can see where some of the paint is starting to like pull down a little bit, right? It's still going to look really shiny, so it's hard to see the details coming out, the sort of like highlighted details, but you kind of see some of the bumps on the back and all that. We're going to go back in and do all the face details later and stuff. And I'm just going to set this guy aside. And basically what I just did with this guy, I'm going to do with all 10. And then we're going to move on. So I'm going to set him, just, let's see, move these guys over here, move the Gargant. And I'm going to set this guy right here to dry for now. I don't want to set him down here because I'm worried that I'm going to like run him into other stuff. So with these paints, because it likes to separate, every 10 minutes or so you're actually going to want to shake it again a little bit. Yeah. Yep. Let's see. So, number 2. So this will be the probably the most time-consuming part. It's just getting all the red done. I'm going to start at the top with this guy. And with this one, I'm actually going to be, since he's got these like metal parts on his horns up at the top, I'm going to try not to get that on there. He's got a nice mold line on his horns there too. Oh well. And basically, the first part of the stream is going to be me painting a lot of red. Alright. A lot of red. But I really do love how this goes on. It feels so smooth to paint, honestly. It's very satisfying seeing it cover the surface so evenly as well. And to a certain extent, I'm kind of like painting it in. I'm kind of like working it in with the bristles a little bit too. I'm not gonna lie, I'm really excited about this paint and like what it's gonna do for the hobby and for me just getting stuff done in a regular fashion. Again, I'm gonna go up to this horn because this horn is going to be, I'm gonna put some metal on it later. Oh, we can do the hand here. And make sure I do like the back of this. See? A little bit of horn right there. Needed to be covered yet. And I'm just going to go from kind of top to bottom because it's going to want to run down, you know? So if I go from top to bottom, I can kind of hopefully catch things as they start to pool a little bit, right? Do it that way. Alright. I'm going to try to just finish one side of him. Since I finish his tongue. This guy, like, these guys, I can already tell, are going to be a little bit trickier to paint than some of the other models that I'd be doing, just because there's a lot of, like, little angles underneath other angles that are easy to miss unless you maneuver the model in, like, just the right way, right? Yeah. Doe SMR. I can see that. I've got a very soothing voice when I want to, right? Yeah, I like to yell about video games and get excited, but I also like to speak quietly too, honestly. Like, when you have a job that's yelling all the time, I suppose it's kind of Bob Rossian to want to just speak quietly in your other time. But man, it is fun just putting the red on these guys. Just like watching that paint go on there, and then poking my webcam with my paintbrush. You know, the usual. And as I do this, like I said, I'm going to be kind of keeping an eye out for areas that are pooling a little bit too much. So I don't want to get any big like globs of paint on this guy. I've seen some people put it on really, really thick, and the results are not good. This paint is not just slop it on and let it go. This paint does require some effort and some attention. There is a technique that you need to kind of learn to do it right. But by watching the stream, you'll know it, so you'll be good. Good to go. When you do your minis with their new contrast paint. I'm not even getting paid to say any of this, too. I mean, it'd be cool if I was, but I'm not. This is just free advertising because I like their stuff. Everybody see okay? Yeah, I think so. But anyway, what I'm doing right now is essentially 3 steps in one, where before I would have had to put down a red base paint, kind of like I'm doing now, but after the red base paint I would have had to shade it, then I would have had to go in and like highlight it, probably with dry brushing to get a model like this done quickly, and then I'd have to go in and maybe do a few edge highlights, and this kind of does, you know, a lot of that for me, so I don't have to. Now I'm just trying to find all those little areas that I may have missed on the model, like right under the armpit here. Boom. Got it. You thought your armpit would escape me, but no. I have found the demon's armpit. It sounds like a whole story in itself, doesn't it? I always, you know, when Bob Ross was doing his show, Warhammer was around. And when he said beat the devil out of something, he could have actually taken out one of these models and hit somebody with it. Or his brush with it. He wouldn't have hit a real person. Never. Not Bob Ross. Alright, so I think this guy is pretty good. If, as I look around the model, I'm looking for, again, you know, areas that are kind of pooling. I don't see anything that is alarming me. The eyes look pretty good. The face looks pretty good. Great abs. You know, you got to say that for demons. They got great abs going on. And as far as like this goes, pull a little bit of paint out of the bicep there. Alright, and that's fine too. A little bit more on top of the hand. But I think that should do it for this guy. So, this guy is good. And I love this. I'm going to wash off my Brush again, of course. It's good to not let your paint dry in the brush too often, unless you enjoy buying new brushes. You don't water down this paint at all, by the way. If you do water it down, it's gonna just kind of come apart. Is this an expensive hobby? It can be. If you want it to be, it certainly can be. But it doesn't need to be. You can really do this on a budget. Anyway, like I said, shaking it again. I'm just gonna give it a little shake after each model. Let's take a look at the first one he did really quick. Go back and check that one out again. And as you can see, it's starting to get a little bit less shiny. And look at the top of the back there. You can certainly start to see where the highlights are kind of starting to come out. If I cover it like this. Yeah, it's still kind of shiny because it's still kind of wet. But you'll see as it goes. Overall, though, I mean, these guys are going to look great really, really quick. All right. Next, 7 more to go. Let's do the guy with the banner. Got a big dude with the banner here. I don't know what I'm going to paint on the banner. Maybe I'll just put one thick coat on the banner. And he's got metal things on his horns too, so I'm going to try to go around that as well while I paint. It's just because I like making things difficult for myself. I've seen some people put this on a lot thicker. I prefer to do a little bit thinner. Yeah. And again, I'm just going to do everything I can see on one side and then rotate the model. All the while waiting to make sure nothing is sort of like glopped around there. Alright, that's looking pretty good there. This is our standard bearer. He does something because he's holding this. I don't know what it is. I can't remember, but he does something. My Demons of Khorne list that I'm putting together involves just a 1,000-point list. It involves 20 of these guys, I think. So hopefully, by the end of the stream, I'll have 10 of them done. That would be sick. I can check chat while I'm doing this. Is it oil paint? No, this is, I'm not exactly sure what's in it, honestly. It's definitely not oil. Oil would take really, really long to dry. As you know, if you've worked with oils, you know how long that takes. It's, in the past, a lot of GW paints have been water-based acrylic. I don't believe this is water-based because water makes it break apart. So, honestly, I'm not sure. I know it's some sort of emulsion, I believe, with like 2 separate parts in it that mix and then separate again slightly after it's on the model in a desirable fashion. That's why I keep shaking it between models. So I want to make sure that the everything stays mixed until it gets onto the figure. I did used to oil paint actually back in college. That was fun. I miss it, but the problem is you need a room with really good ventilation to oil paint, and when you're living in an apartment in the city, it's hard to find that. So maybe someday I'll get back to that oil painting. Go real Bob Ross at that point. Then you get like real Bob Ross dough streams. Well, I think he uses acrylics though, doesn't he? I don't know. I can't remember. I should say used. But with the amount I watch Bob Ross on Twitch, it feels like he's still doing his thing today, you know? And to a certain extent he is, if other people are watching and enjoying painting along with him. He is still doing his thing. Alright, let's see. So again, just want to make sure, really, really sure that I don't leave any white dots on here. That's my biggest fear, is like white dots on the model from missing places, because that's kind of difficult to fix, you know? Because after this dries, it would kind of like leave lines if I added more. I'm also really trying not to drop the model into the paint pot, but hey, maybe that's the way to do it. Just dip it, you know? I haven't tried that, but now I'm kind of intrigued. I wonder if I could just dip the model into this and then use a brush to like wick away all the excess, you know? Anyway, this looks pretty good. Pretty good. Make sure I don't miss anything. There's a little spot between the fingers there. And these fingers over here look okay. A little bit more up under this horn. Aside from that, yeah, this guy's looking pretty good as far as the red goes. You might see like little white marks on him that I'm not seeing because the model is very shiny when it's wet like this. So it might look white, but it's not actually white. It's just shininess from the liquid. Anyway, as I've been doing, shut this up and shake a little bit. It is Contrast Blood Angels Red. That's the one I'm using, but I think it's great for Corn Demons as well. Am I going to buy Plastic Sisters? I don't really play 40k, so not really. I've got this like 40k Vanguard Marine Knight army that I'm like really, really slowly working on, but I don't really intend to play very often. Like, I've been painting guys like this once in a while because they look just cool. But will I ever actually play 40k again? I don't know. I'm not a big fan of 40k. It's not super fun to me, anyway. Yeah. Reading Horus Heresy. Yeah, I was reading Horus Heresy. I just finished reading Battle for the Abyss. That's the one I've most recently gotten done. But I might take a little bit of a break to read some other stuff I've been meaning to read. But yeah, for a while I was like just chain reading those Horus Heresy novels, man. It's so good. This guy doesn't have anything special on his horns, so I can just be fast and aggressive with the paints this time. Yeah, that's right. Exciting. All right. Yeah, I have not read Mechanicum yet. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the next one, right. I remember now. Yeah. That'll be cool. Man, Horus Heresy is so great. Like, I love that lore. It's just really, really well written. Especially if you get like some of the best authors, like Dan Abnett obviously is fantastic. And the guy who wrote Galaxy in Flames, Grant McNeil, I think it was. I think he's my other favorite one if I'm remembering right. Something like that. But yeah, those novels are great. Yeah, if you want to get into 40k lore, I guess you have to start with 30k. But yeah, I would definitely pick up Horus Heresy and read that. I'm not as big of a fan of the Age of Sigmar lore. I've read a little bit of it, and it's weird because I've always been more of a fantasy person than a sci-fi person. But for some reason, that lore hasn't quite grabbed me yet. And I've heard various complaints about the end times, all that, etc., etc. You know, I don't really have any of those complaints because I didn't play during that time. But I know a lot of people are upset with the lore because of like what was kind of taken away. But to me, I've read a couple books, and there was one called Spear of Shadows that I really liked by Josh Reynolds. And I'm reading another one of his right now called Soul Wars, and that one's pretty good. So, in my opinion, he's my favorite of the Age of Sigmar authors so far. But just in general, I haven't really enjoyed that lore as much. Yeah. But I love playing the game. Oh man. I would play Age of Sigmar every day for the rest of my life, if I could. And if I never played 40k again, I'd be okay. At least, I don't know, maybe older versions of 40k were better, but this particular one, I just feel like the shooting phase is just like way too long and drawn out for me. I get kind of bored. Check chat again. Yeah, that's right. Soul Wars is the current, or was rather the current sort of stage that the Age of Sigmar lore was in. Now it's in something called Forbidden Power that just came out with like new endless spells and all that kind of stuff, which is pretty fun. So we've kind of moved past the Soul Wars a little bit now. But Soul Wars is cool. I really enjoyed the Malign Portents Portent's lead up that they did to that. They had a book that came out with a bunch of extra rules and game types to play and stuff like that, and it was really fun. And now Forbidden Power is kind of like the next version of that, I think. But it's cool. We're going to do a Forbidden Power campaign at my local GW store, where we'll, gain those artifacts, and your artifact powers up as you play games through the course of the season, which will be really neat. I'm looking forward to playing in that, because it's only one game a week, so even with my schedule, I can find a time to go in and play that. Looking for little unpainted spots. It's interesting because it doesn't just wash over stuff like a shade. It really does, it only covers where you cover it. So if you miss a spot, you will know, especially once it dries. I think I've got everything on this guy. I guess I could do a little bit more under the toe over here. The toes, I might go back in and hit with the white, and then hit with some black or something like that. Anyway, washing my brush and shaking the pot after every model. Maybe what I need is a higher desk, because I am kind of leaning over a little bit too much here, I think. Maybe I can just lower my chair a little bit. How about that? Yeah. Yeah. Warhammer Fantasy. Felt bloated and chunky. Alright. Yeah, I don't know. I think what I've heard is a lot of people like the rules for the new fantasy one, but they don't like the lore, No new Stormcast for a while. I mean, you never know. The Stormcast are basically, they're the Space Marines of Age of Sigmar. So there's always going to be new Stormcast out there, That's a given, right? They're the Sigmarines, I'm looking forward to going back to orcs, though. I painted a lot of orcs in my day. I never did highlight these guys, but orcs are fun. Let's see. Oh, I did these for part of my Age of Sigmar army. I don't use them in my list anymore, but they were pretty fun to paint. These are evocators on Draco lines. I've got 3 of those. Let's see. So another one. All right, another guy where I can just go wild with the paint because he does not have any special thingies on his horn. I need to find a different word than thingy. Just doesn't mean what it used to mean. This one I kind of cut the ends of the horns off because I ran out of different heads to use. So this one I kind of cut some of the horns off a little bit to make it look like it's sort of damaged, Yeah. Horn caps. Oh, alright. That works. Horn caps works. This is just so easy to use, though. The results are great. Again, when the goal isn't to have a really, really nice finished model when you're using the contrast paints. The goal is to have something that's battle ready. And when you say battle ready, what you mean is something where if you're standing in front of a game of Warhammer, whether it's fantasy or if it's sci-fi, whether it's 40K or if it's fantasy, or Age of Sigmar, I guess I should say, the goal is that you can look at the models on the board from about 3 feet away, where you normally are when you're standing there, and they look good, You can see contrast, you can see light and shadow, you can see the different colors, they have a 3-dimensionality to them, but you're not going to notice any of the details from that distance, right? So that's what this does, where it does some shading, and it actually does a surprisingly good job of highlighting, edge highlighting a lot of the model too, but it doesn't do it in a finished model kind of way. You could definitely go in and improve things, and if I was ever doing a model for a competition or something like that, I would not use contrast paints most likely. I might use them a little bit, but I probably just paint it the old-fashioned way for more control over the detail of the model and all that kind of stuff. But, like I said, for getting something battle ready, which is what I'm planning to do with these Bloodletters, contrast paint is perfect. And it does have really good results, too. And I feel like this is the old battle ready. So the old battle ready standard was base painted and shaded. And so, like I said, that gave you a little bit of three-dimensionality to it without, too much priority on the details. And this is sort of like one step above that, where you have something that's painted and shaded, but also has a little bit of highlighting as well. So I'd say it's like a step. It's definitely a step above the old battle ready standards, but it's still a step below a fully fleshed out and finished model. But the way I see it, what I want to spend my time on is the models that are going to spend a lot of time on the board. So I like theoretically a lot of time on the board. You never know when somebody's going to swoop in and like take your leader out immediately turn one, like somebody did to me the other day. But generally, guys like these, just a wound or two, one wound, they're going to drop pretty fast. They're basically chaff. So I don't want to spend a lot of time painting them because they're just not going to be on the board a lot to begin with. So that's where this comes in handy for me. So these guys don't get like a huge painting priority. All right. And I think I'm pretty good with this one. Yeah. All right. So, like I said, when I'm painting a model like this guy. So this guy, if I can grab him with my left hand, this is the one that's going to be on the board for a long time. He's the leader of my army. So ideally, he'll be out there taking skulls for like a good part of the game, right? So with him, I spent like a ton of time on him, getting all the details in there, the nice glow from the lava onto the bottom of his cloak and all that kind of stuff. All the details in the flames, like the myriad of skulls on his cloak, details on the sword, making it look a little bit red. So like he gets all the attention, right? Whereas the guys I'm doing right now, just gonna do them fast, get them done, make them look decent, move on my merry way, Yeah. Quick and dirty, that's right. Let's take a moment, as we're halfway done with these. I could be going a lot faster too, going slowly because I'm streaming, but it's already going pretty quick. Let's take a look at this guy that we painted, the very first one. And as you can see, still a little bit shiny. I've noticed that it takes about a day before it gets like completely unshiny. But if you look at, if I kind of cover some of this, you can see the details on the back. There you go, where the paint is kind of pulled away. And if you look at the details on the face and stuff, it really is starting to come through. I think you notice the results like maybe like an hour or so later. It does take a long time to fully dry and for the pigment to fully move around, But it's looking pretty good already. It's a good base for me to start with anyway. So we'll take a look at this guy too while we're at it. Yeah, that face is looking pretty solid, I think. Yeah. That's good. All right. Neat. So, on to the next one. Shake this one a little bit. Did I finish Robot Girly Man? No, not yet. He's still in the same place he's always been. I don't know. I'll finish it someday, Thank you for the compliments on the Skull Taker as well. He's very proud of the skulls that he's taken over the years. But I'll show you where Robot Girly Man is right now. Robot Girly Man. Still in the same spot he's been for like a year, with one leg basically done. The other leg started but not totally finished. And that is about it. So as you can see, a lot of work yet to do on this guy, but as you can see, there's a lot of detail on this one. So, yep. I'll do him someday. Who knows? At some point, he'll be done. I painted a lot of other stuff in the meantime. Yeah, he's cool. But I don't really play him in any armies, so... I mean, I could, but I don't. So he's not super useful to me. Next, I'm just going to try to go real fast at this guy. Make sure I get all the details and stuff. I've been going kind of slow because I was getting used to how the paint behaves and all that, but now I'm going to just Let's try painting one really fast and see how much of the paint we need to move at the end, you know, to make sure there's not as much pooling and stuff. But yeah, I do basically just take it right out of the pot. No reason to even engage the palette with this because you're not going to be watering it down. You can, but you can't use water. You can't use water to water this down. You have to use contrast medium, which basically has that same chemical emulsion but no pigment. Just so, because if you use water, then the pigment's not going to flow like it's supposed to. And it's going to ruin the entire effect of using this. So, kind of are losing the point of using the contrast paints if you water it down using only water. Yeah. I'm going to have contrast paint all over my hands at the end of this. You know what I might do later is buy like another pot of this and put it into something wider and then just try dipping models into it. Go the ultimate lazy route, you know? Have to wick away a little bit of the paint there from his eyes. Alright. Getting those biceps done. Getting those biceps done, that's right. And those great demon abs. Alright, arm stuff, hand stuff. Make sure to get between his fingers. And honestly, like, I think I'm getting pretty good at like putting the right amount of paint on these guys. Because I'm not needing to actually wick away too much. Pretty happy with how this is going so far. Yeah, it's hitting all those spots I missed here. Very tip of the horn. A tip of the horn to you. That does not sound good either. Alright, let's see. And just a few more little spots under the arm like that, yeah. Alright, I think that guy's pretty good. Pull a little bit more away from here. Yeah, not bad. Okay. There we go. So put him over there. And let's just go right on to the next one. It should still be fairly well mixed. That one was pretty quick, I guess. I'm just catching up on chat real quick here. Yeah. Oh, thanks. Thanks for being impressed by the details of those other models. It really is fun to go in and work on a lot of those really, really fine details. That's my favorite part of the hobby. Today is really a speed painting experiment, honestly. I feel like I do a lot of those on stream, but this is just like a way for me to really test out the new paint. Because this is something, it's not just a new color or something like this. This is just a totally different way of painting models that's didn't exist before. And it's really incredible. So, next week's stream, I will do something. I'll try to do something next week's stream that's going to have a bit more detail with it. But this one's going to be a lot of moving quick, getting stuff done, testing out the effects of the new paint. And from my earlier testing, I'm pretty happy with it. This red is like so vibrant too. It's like really, really red. It's really neat. Very cool. Yeah. Yeah, Gulimon's alive, isn't he? I mean, that's the whole point of bringing him back, right? In the lore? 40k lore? I don't know. I'm up on my 30k lore, but not my 40k lore, really. Ooh, that's a lot of paint. Alright, let's see. Oh, I forgot to take out some of the mold lines on this guy's legs. We're going to have mold line highlights. It's alright, though. They're just chaff. He'll be the one I remove first when this unit takes a hit. Haven't quite decided how I'm going to do the sword yet. Generally, these guys' swords are not really silver. They're more kind of a black with like some red at the top. But I think I kind of want to do it silver just to make it stand out from the rest of the model, you know? So I might move away from the contrast paints when I do the swords. Do the swords the old-fashioned way, because it won't take too long. And again, I could just make it battle ready. They do have a gray that's meant to be like a substitute for like silver, but it's, you know, it's still not metallic, you know what I mean? Alright, checking for unpainted spots. I think it's pretty good. Checking to see if I need to wick any paint away. Right there I do, there. Here maybe. Other than that, I need to hit the toes here. This guy should be pretty good. Alright. And it's important too to not like touch these with your hands, because your fingerprints will definitely leave marks on them. That's the other thing about this paint, is that because it takes a lot longer to dry, you're very much at risk for leaving fingerprints. So try to avoid that if you can. Yeah. There actually are no metallic contrast paints. They didn't make any because they couldn't get the metal flakes to work in the emulsion. So yeah, so that's probably why you think they're underwhelming, because they don't exist. And people have been using like for gold, they've been using Nazarite yellow, and it's okay. Like this is, I think, Eandon yellow or Nazarite, one of the two. And so it's gold-ish, but it definitely doesn't have the same metallic. So the answer there, if you want to use the contrast for a metallic thing, you do what I did with this, where I based it in silver. So this is sprayed Ledge Belcher, the silver spray. Then I dry brushed it with a light silver, and then I did all the contrast paint. So this is 100% contrast paint, and you can see the metallic nature really does come through if you use the contrast paints over silver instead of over white. So you can definitely get a metallic effect with contrast paints. You just have to have the right undercoat. Yeah. Thank you. He's the leader of my warband for Shadespire. Yep. And he was really fun to paint. And this guy took me about 20 to 30 minutes from scratch. So yeah, you can do things pretty quick. Yeah. Thank you. Dude, Fulgrim, that book was so good, but also so insane. Definitely one of my favorite 30K novels. Alright, this guy has a big gap in his head, but that's okay. I love him anyway. I think I'm obviously not going to get these guys done in 2 hours, but, or at least not done in the 2 hours I budgeted for this stream, but, I really could see how I could get them done in 2 hours if I was just like working on my own and just speed painting and stuff. Obviously all the demonstration stuff takes a little bit of time too, which is fine, but, yeah, this will be nice and fast. When I do other ones later, I'm going to try to avoid the horn, so I can paint that a different color in the future. Later today. And if you ever, if I ever do end up messing up and getting the red on a color I don't want to, I have the base paint for the primer. So I've got the base paint, the Wraithbone base paint, so I can just paint over the contrast paint and put it back to the exact color it was that I spray primed it. Fix it that way. So nothing to worry about there either. It's a nice thing is that when you're doing miniatures like this, any mistakes you make are quite fixable. No matter what that mistake might be. Unless you're like dropping your model in acid or something like that. Then you might not be able to fix that, but any painting errors you can definitely fix. And kind of bring my brush across sideways to catch those claws. That works. All right. I'm going to catch up on chat again. Yeah. Airbrush? Yeah, I've always been curious about airbrushing. I haven't bothered to invest in one yet. I kind of like the hand painting side of things. Just, I feel like it's kind of relaxing and stuff like that, kind of meditative, but eventually I'll have to give the airbrush thing a try. I use some of the air paints in just my normal painting already because they generally are a lot more fluid, liquidy, if you were. Thinner, I guess you could say. And so you can apply them in different ways than you could a normal paint, like a normal layer or base. So I do use the air paints, just not in a airbrush. See, what I don't get with airbrushes is how do you keep yourself from going over the parts that you don't want to go over? You just have to mask it all? Because I feel like masking would take so much time that it would like negate the point of airbrushing. But, you know, obviously that's said in ignorance because I've never airbrushed anything. So that's just like what I feel like would happen. So how do you get around that for people out there who have airbrushed? Do you literally just have to go in and mask everything you don't want to hit? And does that take a long time? Does it take as long as I think it would take? I'll take my answer in the chat. We got everything on this guy? Ah, there's a little thing there. Okay. It's always the undersides of the biceps. Those are the rough parts. Okay, other than that, looking pretty good, except for the giant gap in his head from where I glued it together improperly. Oh well, I'm going to start a second row up here so that they're not really in the way. There we go. Alright. And I'm going to shake this, give it a good shake, and then do the last two. Oh, okay. I see. Interesting. So you only do the airbrush for like part of it. So does that mean when you airbrush something you can be like really direct with where it sprays? I'd imagine you must be able to. Or do you just like airbrush it and then you glue it together later? Oh, to answer the early question. How much do I play D&D? I play a little bit. I've got like a off and on campaign going right now, but we'll see how long it lasts. I used to play a lot in college, but I haven't played much since then. It's been a long time. Alright. Let's get aggressive with this guy. One thick coat. Let's do it. It's a new GW mantra for the contrast paints. Get that thick coat on there. Make sure we hit the undersides of the biceps and all that. The back of the horn. All the important parts that get missed sometimes. What amazes me too is just like how I don't need to do multiple coats of this, really. But like if you want to do yellow on a model the traditional way, you're going to be doing like 2 or 3 coats, right? With this, it is just one coat, which is pretty cool. I'm probably going to restart a Seraphon army later this year, and I'm excited to like do Saurus dudes and skinks and stuff with this method. Not to mention the blue just looks so good. Or the a few of the blues. The Talisar blue is really nice. From the contrast paints anyway. And I feel like, you know, there's that like oddly satisfying subreddit or whatever it is. To me, like completely covering a model like this with a single color, like just covering every little bit of it, is one of those, definitely qualifies as one of those like oddly satisfying things to me. It's just fun to like cover every little square inch. I mean, these are really the best models to do like a test run with this on, because they've got so much of the same color on them that you can really just kind of go wild on the model, you know? Just like the Hulkamania went on other people. Went wild. I always wondered what would I do if the Hulkamania ran wild on me, but luckily it never has, so I've been able to escape that fate for now. You never know when the Hulkamania is going to come for you, but for me, not yet. Alright, let's see. So I need to pull a little bit away from the face here, I think. A little bit away from the bicep area again. That looks okay. Pull it away from here a bit. I'm going to pull it away from behind this leg. Let's see. Yeah. Because you don't want it to be... you don't want any spots to be too dark, right? Alright, that's good. I'd take away from the feet a little bit here too. Okay, that's good now. And the final one, the final demon. This has not taken very long at all. Let's get that on there. Catch up on chat while I do that. Seraphon? Yeah, the Seraphon really do need some love. They need a new book. They're getting some points cost reduction for like Saurus Warriors and Saurus Guard and stuff like that, but honestly, those guys are just so bad that it's hard to make an argument to bring them because they melt so fast and they don't do any damage. Yeah. What I really loved about playing Seraphon when I did is I liked the spellcasting that the Skinks offered. That was kind of neat. Or not the Skinks, what am I talking about? The Slan? Yeah. That was fun. It's fun to cast like a ton of spells during your hero phase. So I got a little bit tired of playing the army I had for Seraphon. I wasn't really happy with the models I got and how I built it and all that kind of stuff. And I had like a pretty large amount. But then we had those fires in California last year. And, you know, obviously in the fires like in Northern California especially, a lot of people lost their homes. And in those homes were some Warhammer collections sometimes. And I can't imagine, you know, what it would be like to lose all that work, you know, and all that, like, you know, all the love you poured into those models, you know. So there was a charity that somebody had set up for people to send their unused models to replace people's armies that have been lost in the fires. So that's what happened to my Seraphon army. I sent that out there because I saw on the list of people that had lost armies there were 2 Seraphon players. So hopefully they got some use out of those. And yeah, I've moved on to Stormcast since then. Been very happy with it, but good to have those models go off to, you know, a better usage than just sitting on my shelf doing nothing, you know. So all right, let's see. Almost done. Yeah. Trying to catch up in chat again. Oh, the big death stuff? Yeah, that's sick. I want to paint a black coach at some point. I really like that that model. Cool, like a horse-pulled coach with like the ghost horses and all that. Because I've got a 1,000-point Nighthaunt army that I painted last year as a speed painting experiment just to see how fast I could do it. And it took me about a month of painting off and on. I had like a process I sort of thought out for painting them, and then I did that. I did some of those on stream too last year. It turned out pretty well. I'll show you a couple in a moment as soon as I finish this guy. And this guy, let's see, you need to wick away some from here. Some from here. This one I went a little bit ham on, so there's a bit more to remove. But aside from that, I think it's pretty good. Yeah, alright, that's cool. Good enough. And that is the end for now of the red. I painted my microphone cable, but that's okay. Wash out the brush. Stretch my back as I've been leaning over and stuff. washing out this brush a lot because I think I'm kind of done with the big brush. I think I'm going to be using smaller ones from now on. I want to go in and do silver on all the blades, and then I'm going to do the black contrast paint over the silver to make it like a really dark silver. And then I'm going to do like some, or maybe I'll do red on some of that, and then black on some of it. I don't know. We'll see. Do some bronze. Oh, I remember. There was a color I got that I wanted to use on some of this stuff. Where is it? Oh, there it is. If you could only see, my office is a total mess. Fulgurite Copper is a brand new color, actually, that I think could be really cool on some of these things. So I'm gonna put aside the contrast paint for a little bit, and I'm gonna go for this Fulgurite Copper because I think this could end up looking really sick. Yeah, but this is gonna take a lot of shaking because it's a metallic paint, so you generally want to shake the metallics quite a bit. But I haven't used this one yet, so I'm excited. Yeah. So we're about an hour in, and I've spent a little bit less than an hour painting stuff, and we've already got all 10 hit with the red, so that's pretty good start. This is the guy that we did first. He's not as shiny as he looks on the webcam. Trust me. Maybe if I angle this a little bit away, less direct. I don't know. He's not as shiny as he looks on the webcam, trust me. He's perfect. He's a perfect little demon of corn. But yeah, as you can see, the shading turned out pretty nicely. And the highlighting turned out pretty nicely as well. So I'm pretty happy with that. Gotta go back and do the bases at some point too. Sometimes I shake both hands and I'm doing the painting. I'm like, yeah, I'm about to paint. Hooray. Yeah, Dane, sure, we can do a Warhammer Night. I didn't know you played, man. I think Chaos Demons are actually compatible with both still, so I might be doing a 40k army and don't know it. Although in 40k, I know Bloodletters have like machine guns, so obviously I don't have that, you know. Oh, yeah, I can teach you how to play sometime, man. Don't worry about it. All right, so let's do this Fulgurite Copper, and I'm gonna start by doing it on the horn caps. That's what we've decided they're called. These are kind of older models. I didn't do the greatest job. When I see I missed some of the red there, but whatever. Didn't do the greatest job removing mold lines. So this is, as you can see, that's a neat color. Yeah, I think I'll like it. And for this, I'm going to use the regular medium base brush, and I'm going to use a palette as well. Move that over here. Pick up the brush I dropped. All right. Paint the bottom of my webcam, but I guess it's better than the lens. This I'll add a tiny bit of water to. And we're just gonna do this guy's horns really quick. And this will look maybe a little bit on the light side, but I am going to darken it up with some shade and stuff later. Maybe with some contrast later, actually. This will go over the contrast nicely. But as you can see, I like that. I really like that color for the metal like horn caps, actually. It is a very like coppery metallic color. It's pretty sick. And this is just a regular base paint, of course. This is not contrast. All right. Ooh, yeah, I like this. It's a cool color. Because Khorne is all about like the bronze and the copper and all that kind of stuff. He's not about that gold stuff. No way. He wants less valuable metals. Because who needs valuable metals when your life goal is to just wreck people on the battlefield, right? The Demons of Khorne, lore-wise, they kind of pop up when like there's a super awesome battle going and like everyone's really like going nuts, and the demons are like, "Yo, we want to get in on this," and then they pop out of the ground and they get in on the battle action. All right, there we go. So let's see. Yeah, I like that. It's kind of a neat color, isn't it? That's cool. I think I'm going to go ahead and use that for the metal bits on the sword as well. I used kind of a bronze on the skull taker, but I'll use this on these. Good chance to use the new color, because actually they just released 88 new colors. Most of those are contrast paints, but a good amount of them were like new metallics like this, a couple new shades, and some other stuff. So this is a chance to try out some of the other new stuff, which is neat. So I'm basically just doing the metal work on the sword with this color, or the hilt anyway. And as you can see, because the contrast paint is so thin, it goes right over any contrast paint I might have accidentally got on this, on the edge of the sword here. It's pretty nice. And again, with like most metallics, you don't add a lot of water because it's already pretty watery, and the metallics have a habit of separating. Like the metallic flakes will kind of separate from the rest of it if you add too much water. You do want to thin it down a little bit. Oops, I hit the hand there. Oh, whatever. That happens. Happy accidents and all that. And plus, you probably won't even notice when you're looking at it from a distance. Remember, these guys are supposed to be battle ready. This is not competition focused. Anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna go through and do all the sword and horn caps with that color now. Neat. Dude, you haven't really gotten into the hobby until you've been injured by one of your own models. I think I slashed my finger open on a Seraphon horn once. Or like I've cut it a couple times where I'm trying to like cut something else and I just nick my finger, you know? Putting on this. It's very light right now, but once I put some shade on it, it's gonna darken up really nicely. And like I was saying, I could probably use the black contrast paint over this to achieve like a really nice burnished sort of look to it. I've got high hopes. When you're doing chaff like this, when you're speed painting chaff, well, it's important to think, how can I make this go faster too, right? So when I'm thinking about this, all the colors I'm planning on putting on this sword, I can just go over with the same black contrast paint. That's the plan. Man, it's really hard to get the brush in here. Why did you have to glue his hand there? It was me. I glued his hand there. It doesn't matter. It's going to get covered with contrast paint later. Alright, that guy is done. Let's do this dude, the problem is too, some of these models have like bendy sword syndrome. Oh well. Alright, that's right. It's perfect because it's mine. Let's see. Oh, he's got a special sword. With a special hilt. And especially big mold lines that I didn't remove. So, it's got that going for it. Alright. Oh, he's got some horn caps as well. Horn caps all around. It's important to accessorize, you know? It's important to bedazzle your Demons of Khorne. This Khorne loves combat and bedazzling. And scrapbooking, I've heard as well. There we go. That is on there. And a little bit more water in the brush. Tiny, tiny bit. Mostly just to keep the tip of my brush from drying out. That's what I'm trying to avoid mostly with this. And the details here. Not being too concerned about getting messy. Yeah, I really don't know what color I'm going to do to the banner yet. Probably some sort of like light brown, I'm guessing. There. And then, oh yeah, I should do the icon on top too, shouldn't I? All right. Yeah. But when you look at this in the light, it has a really nice sheen to it. IMO. All right. So after I do this color, I'm going to probably do the silver, and then I'm going to go back to the contrast paints. Get all that done. And the very last thing I'm going to do is go in and do all the eyes and teeth and stuff like that, all the little details, you know? All right. Cool. Neat. Push him back. Yeah. This guy is next. Yeah, that's the thing. You're absolutely right. Like, one of the best things about this hobby is that it does get you away from the computer screen for a while. Because it's really tough when your job is video games and you also love to play video games. It is tough to get yourself away from a screen sometimes. And you're doing social media all day and all that kind of stuff. Oh man, I missed a big part of this guy's arm there. Oh well. I can add that back in later. I can always fix that later. So yeah, Warhammer gives you a chance to game, but game away from a screen. And I also like to go climbing. I do like gym climbing, like bouldering and stuff like that. And I go hiking, and I really love going to museums and things. And like jazz clubs once in a while. It's important to have things you do away from the computer too. In any job, but I think especially in esports or any other job that like keeps you right in front of the computer all day. All of the day. I became like a old English farmer for a second there. All right. Let's see. I'm gonna leave that spot on his arm for a while because I'm in the groove with painting this metal stuff. I'm really liking how this contrast paint has turned out on a lot of these guys. Looks good. Looks great. For a battle ready model, looks awesome. Ugh. All right. Yeah, well, I mean, games are fun too. I like Sea of Thieves. Dane. Should be playing more Sea of Thieves. By the way, if anyone out there has not tried Sea of Thieves yet, you are missing out because it is one of the best games to come out in years and years and years. And a lot of people didn't like it because they felt it was repetitive, but it's only as repetitive as you allow it to be, really. What people don't like about it, I think really, but they're not saying it, is that it doesn't hold your hand. This is a game that gives you an open world to explore. It gives you missions to get you out in that world. But the point of the game is not the missions. The point of the game is to get out in the world and interact with people and go on these adventures and interact with the environment, you know? And that's what I love about the game because I legit have no idea what's going to happen to me when I log in, right? I know what I'm going to start out doing. I might go out looking for buried treasure. But like where I end up in that game is so wildly different every time I play that it's just so much fun. I love it. Sea of Thieves is so good, man. It's so good. They just had the big update. Now you can go fishing. You've got all these really neat missions and stuff like that. It's great. What am I going to do with this horn? I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do... I'm going to try to make it sort of cow horn-esque, sort of. So it'll be... Yeah. Let's go skeleton horde. No, wait. Alright, I can't. I'm getting off track. I need to finish the metal first. That's what I'm going to do. Then I'll go back and figure out the horn. Can it be enjoyed single player? Yeah, I think so. I think Sea of Thieves can be enjoyed single player. It's definitely more fun with a group. But in terms of like being a relaxing game, I think it's great single player. I love to just log in by myself sometimes and fish and just sail around. The water in the game is gorgeous. You know, you can easily go around and dig up some treasure and have fun. So yeah, I think it's like just a fun, relaxing game. It's great. You know, you might get like ganked every once in a while, but you can fight back sometimes. And if people kill you, they kill you. You know, and you can always run away. Sometimes that's fun too. But it definitely excels as a group game more than a single player game. But I've enjoyed it single player as well. But I think it's a game. Sea of Thieves is a game outside of its time. You know, Sea of Thieves is not the typical game you would see released in 2018 or 19 or whenever it came out. 2018, I guess. Sea of Thieves is more like it feels older. It feels like an older game because, like I said, it doesn't hold your hand. It gives you a world in which to play in, and it equips you with the tools to enjoy that world, and it just kind of says, go out there and enjoy it, you know? Which is refreshing, you know, rather than every single mission being a little mark on a map where you know exactly where you need to go and you know exactly what you need to do and exactly who to talk to. Sea of Thieves, you need to actually like use your eyes and, you know, use your sense of direction and stuff. It's fun. Have I played Outward? I have not played that yet. I'll have to give it a try. I've not played it yet. Bone with brass inlay? Yeah, that's definitely the idea I've got for that horn. So what I might do when I get around to that is Skeleton Horde. This is kind of a lighter, dusty brown. All the contrasts, by the way, look a lot darker in the bottle than they are on the model, because you're going over white or a light color a lot of times. So it's a lot lighter than this. Like this color, Skeleton Horde, in this bottle, that's the color of this guy's pants. That's what this ends up looking like. So I can do this, and then as I can like pull that up the horn, and then I can go to like a darker brown, like snakebite leather, and do like a darker area, so I can make it look more like a real like cow horn or something like that. That'd be sick. I'll do that later. Let's move on with this. Getting all the hilts and everything done on the swords. I usually never paint more than like 5 models at once. I haven't done 10 models at once since I did Seraphon way back when last year. But the contrast paints just make it so much quicker that I'm not really feeling the model count fatigue like I normally do, you know? Normally I'd rather spend a lot of time doing details on one model, but I'm not unenjoying my time doing all these different models. It's not bad. Not bad. 3 more. Then I'll be done with this color. Yeah. Do I order my paints online? Oh yeah, good timing. Yep, it is a unit of 10. Do I order my paints online or do I get them from local stores? I get them from my local store. You can definitely order them online. That might be more convenient in certain times, but if you do have a Games Workshop nearby or a Warhammer store nearby, I would recommend going there. And then even if they don't have it, ordering it there and picking it up there later, because I think it's really important to support the brick and mortar stores. Obviously the money goes to the same company whether you order it online or not, but if you order from Games Workshop. But I think it's important that we have a place for people to go physically and interact with other players and other hobbyists and enjoy that kind of thing, because that's one of my favorite things to do, is just show up in my local store with some models I'm working on and some paints and sit down and paint and just chat with other people who enjoy the same hobby, you know. And or you schedule a game once in a while to play on the tables at the store and all that. I'm usually in there once a week, actually, hobbying and just hanging out. I have to paint the tongues soon too, by the way. Yeah, so I would recommend looking around, see if you've got a store in your area, and go and check it out. One of the best communities I've ever gotten to be a part of too. Like, everybody's so nice and everyone's supporting each other, and it's artistic. You know, I love art community where people are actively swapping like technique ideas and really excited about showing each other what they're working on. And it's not this competition to try to like be more artsy than the other person. It's so refreshing. After my degree is in studio art, and being in the art world a little bit, like the quote unquote real art world for a little bit, I know everything is sort of like this thought experiment competition where everyone's like, oh, what can I make you feel with my art and all that, where technique is kind of thrown by the wayside in favor of being shocking or original or something like that. Whereas this, everyone's just everyone's trying to make something that looks really cool, and they're excited to share what they're doing with other people and in a non-judging way, So I find it to be a great community to be a part of, frankly, from an artistic side of things. Yeah. Favorite 5th edition campaign? Well, like in D&D? I don't know. I haven't played very much D&D in 5th edition yet, unfortunately. Yeah. Oh, Texas has like the Warhammer Citadel, right? That's like one of the best places to be if you're into Warhammer. I think it's in Dallas or something, or it's in Grapevine. That's where it is. I have not been there. When we did the Dallas homestand, that was still like 30 miles away from where we were, so I wasn't able to get away, spend that much time, you know, going out and checking that out. Otherwise, I absolutely would have loved to. Maybe next time. I'm really negative on the modern art world, but I just really don't like the attitude with which people approach art a lot of times in that world, you know? But art is subjective, so if you like it, that's okay. I'll just continue to think you're wrong. Alright, so that is the last sword, so we are done with the Fulgurite Copper. That's a great color. I really like it. Neat. Yeah, I didn't get to explore Dallas at all during the homestand weekend. I probably won't get to explore Atlanta either when I'm there in a couple weeks. In a few weeks. Let's take a look at this guy again. So, yeah, the color on the horns is really cool. I like that a lot. Alright, so what's next? Let's do all the tongues quick. That'll be fun. I want to do like a dark purple for the tongue. Do I have a nice dark purple in here? Yeah, shyish purple. You do a purple over a red. Made intentionally ugly for plebs? I don't think so. I think artists are just lazy right now. I think they're like, if I make something shocking and quasi faux thought provoking and I convince people it's good art, then I don't really need to have any technical skill at all, you know? I think that's what a lot of art is right now. So I don't feel that it's dumbed down. For the audience, I feel like it's dumbed down because the art world is just dumbed down right now. That's me. That's just my opinion. This purple, it's going to be interesting. Over the red, I'm trying to think of how that is going to end up. It might just end up being really black, really dark. Might be too dark, actually. So in that case, I'm going to do an actual purple instead. I know just the thing. We could do Gene Stealer purple. I think that'll be good. Gene Stealer purple is the color I used for the tongue on the Skull Taker. Yeah. Yeah, I do feel like a lot of the art is built on shock value. Not all of it, but I think a lot of it's built on laziness too. Like a lot of it is like a lot of art you see has the question attached to it. Well, what does it mean to you? You know, and to me that means it fails as a communicative piece, right? I feel that art should communicate something that the artist wants to say, and if all the artist wants to say is you figure out what it means, then that sounds like a lazy artist to me. The other side of things is that art is oftentimes, I think, in the modern world too conceptual, in that it kind of goes the opposite way, where the artist does have a vision, but rather than showing it via their art, you have to read like a 2-page explanation next to the piece about what exactly it means, you know? And that's not good either. Let's do some purple tongues. Yeah. So I'm using Gene Stealer purple for this. I've watered it down a little bit so that it's a little bit transparent, a little bit translucent. So some of the red's going to show through. But all in all, I'm just kind of, dropping it on here. And there you go. Purple tongue. Wee, purple tongue. Fun. All right, yeah. So I mean, if your art requires people to read like a 2-page, theory thing on it, then I think that kind of fails as a piece of art as well. My philosophy on art has always been very simple. It's always been, I'm just going to challenge myself technique-wise to make something that I think is a cool or beautiful image, and if anybody else likes it, great. If not, great. I'm not going to try to tell anybody that they're not smart because they don't like or get my art. You know? I like to do a lot of more realistic things when I do it, you know? But again, it's all, you know, if you enjoy it, I'm happy. You know, if you don't, I'm happy too. That's fine. I don't like the way that the modern art world tries to talk down to people sometimes, you know? It's kind of like Emperor's New Clothes, right? Where if you can't see it, you must be dumb. When maybe there's nothing there, you know? I'm getting very, like, philosophical at this point, but you get the idea. Yeah. Anyway, on the back of all my philosophy, let's paint some more purple tongues. Alright. This should go pretty quick. Obviously, their tongues are not terribly large. Do I even need to paint the back of the tongues? Is it really worth my time? I don't know. Alright. Another demon, another tongue. I'll try to catch up to chat in just a second here. See if there's anything new to talk about. Trying to make sure I get like back almost inside the mouth a little bit, you know? Might go and shade that later. When I use a black contrast paint, I'll probably go over the tongues too with that. Yeah. Yeah, I was when I was in school, when I went to college, I did a double major in studio art and communication. Which is probably why I have such a communication emphasis on any like fine art that I enjoy or do. Obviously, I don't really consider what I'm doing right now fine art. I mean, it can be. I've seen some pretty great, you know, dioramas and stuff like that, but mostly I'm just making these to make my games look cool, you know? Yeah. Yeah, I tend to not like abstract art as much either, but I have liked some of it in the past, but I think I like mostly older abstract art, you know? And again, I think a lot of the newer stuff is, again, because you don't have any technique to really base the abstraction on. Because all the old abstract artists were all still classically trained, and they could all do realistic art if they wanted to. But they felt that what they were trying to say was best represented by abstraction, right? Whereas I think today, and I've seen this myself when I was in school, that a lot of times a teacher will just say, oh, well, why don't you, you know, try this experiment with this color and all this kind of stuff. And you don't really get that classical training. And so it makes it very difficult, I think, to properly abstract something if you don't know how to do it the realistic way to begin with. I think in order to abstract something, you need to know it in its original form. Again, which is kind of a classical sort of mindset with that. And a lot of people don't want to take time to do that because it takes time to learn how to do art in a classical manner. You know, learn the old techniques. That's tough, you know? Yeah. Oh, what? Oh, you thought like when I said this is not fine art, I meant casting? No, casting is one of the greatest arts known to man. What are you talking about? Only the most wise and intelligent people are great casters. He said, while not being able to hold himself back from laughing. No, casting is not art. Casting is an art, but it's not art. It's just yelling about video games in a very controlled way. Yeah. Why does it seem that classical art is not taught very much? Because it's seen as boring, right? It's not new and exciting, you know? And it takes time. It's really tough to learn how to sculpt well or to, you know, oil paint well, right? When you could just, you know, make funny, you know, make cool designs on a canvas and talk about, all the stuff that you think it means to you, you know? And everyone's like, oh, yeah, I see it too, you know? That's much more appealing than doing painting after painting that are bad to eventually get to the point where you're painting halfway decently. And then you look at, like, Leonardo or Titian or something, and you're like, I will never be that good. It's daunting to a lot of people, right? I think a lot of times modern art is the easy way out. So that's why, yeah. It's a performance, yes. Casting is a performance, I suppose. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I really think anyone can learn how to paint or draw or stuff like that. It's just time, you know? I mean, sure, there's a little bit of natural talent in there, but, like, honestly, it's just time. It's, you know, if you want to be good at it, you got to put in the time. It's like anything worth doing, really. I mean, I practiced oil painting for years to get halfway decent at it. I wouldn't even say I'm not a good oil painter by any stretch. But I got to the point where I did okay, you know? And that took 4 years, 5 years of painting. Yeah. Yeah. I still go to a lot of modern art galleries and stuff like that because I am curious about what people are working on. I am curious about what people are doing, but you know, and I can't. I feel like I can't really talk about it if I don't go and like look at it myself, you know. But I don't enjoy it a whole lot. Let's see. So what's next color? I'm gonna do the silver on the swords. Yeah, that's what I'll do. All right. So for this silver, I'm going to use one of the newer silvers that I've gotten recently, which is called Iron Hand Steel. I like it. Yeah. Miniature painting is, you know, I know, right? Those student loans are all, it's all gone into Warhammer at this point. Yep. Have I been to the Getty? Yes, and it was pretty cool. They've got some neat stuff there. It's also just like a beautiful, you know, venue too. So, yeah, I've checked out the Getty. I caught a lot of rare Pokemon there. You know, that was the main. That was the main thing. They have a nice collection of Roman sculpture there. Actually, it's pretty good. All right, so we're gonna do the swords now. And these should not take very long. Just kind of quickly go through and do that. This is actually another brand new color that they released, this metal. This is a little bit brighter silver than like Lead Belcher. It's called Iron Hand Steel. I think it's great for swords. A lot of times the Khorne swords are kind of like black with like red and stuff. But what I'm going to do is over the top of this is I'm going to do some of the black contrast paint, and then towards the tip I'm going to switch to more of the red one, the Bloodletter, or Blood Angels red again. So yeah, just really quick coats on these. As you can see, that comes out to a really nice brighter metal there. Whoa. I bumped the light that I'm not even using right now, so I'm actually going to get that out of the way. Yeah. So now it's just kind of like in the way. There, perfect. All right, back on the shelf you go. All right. Yeah, the Vatican is sick. That's like, the Vatican is like Roman sculpture overload, but it's neat. It's cool. Tiny feeling of regret for leaving League of Legends. I appreciate that you miss our casting. That makes me feel good, and I do feel bad that like we can't give you any more of that in League of Legends. But do I regret leaving League of Legends? No, I don't. I miss casting it. Then you always miss casting the games you don't cast anymore, you know, because there were fun things about those that don't exist in Overwatch, and there's fun things about, you know, League of Legends that didn't exist in StarCraft 2, and so there's always some things you'll miss. But no, I don't regret leaving League of Legends. It was definitely the right time. Definitely the right time for that. But it was fun. It was a good 5 years, and I appreciate that you were there for that. I'm glad you enjoyed it. This guy's sword is kind of bendy, but that's okay. Bendy swords are acceptable. All right. All right. This part's nice and quick. I'll finish this blade and then I'll check out chat again. I missed a few little spots around the hands and stuff, but I'm just gonna end up I'm just gonna end up sort of hitting those with the darker color, the black contrast paint, and kind of covering over all of it. And I'm just doing a little bit of metal on this part by the corn banner. I'll probably make the banner say one thick coat. I think that's the play. I'm kind of blending the metal a little bit there. It's kind of for fun. All right. Who's my favorite Chaos God? I don't know. I don't really have a favorite Chaos God. Probably Khorne. He's definitely the most bloodthirsty. And he's less. I feel like Khorne is less pure evil than the other Chaos Gods, which is incorrect. That's a false statement, but I feel that anyway. Because he's more just about like battling and being like, who's the best fighter ever? Let's find out and make everybody fight, you know? So his intentions are pure, you know? I don't know. I don't really have a good answer for that, I guess. I'm so glad I'm doing this stream again. I've missed doing these streams. I apologize I haven't done them for a while, but it was simply just a matter of time, you know? Alright, so that guy is done. I'll do the staff some other color. I don't know what yet, but something. Yeah. I don't think we're gonna get a Games Workshop Blizzard crossover anytime soon. Those companies have some history. I will say, I've gotten to know one of the managers who's been at Games Workshop for a long time, including back to the early 90s. And so I've heard the Warcraft, Warhammer story from both sides at this point, and as you can imagine, both sides have a different take on it, but it is interesting. I won't go into each of those, but it is interesting. But suffice to say, I don't think we're going to be seeing those companies work together anytime soon. It'd be cool, but I don't think we're going to see that. I love both of them equally, you know? Now that I'm into Warhammer and stuff, I feel like Blizzard and Games Workshop, it's like two friends. I'm friends with both of them, but they don't like each other, you know? I'm like, oh, come on, guys. Why can't we all just get along? Alright. Another blade. Another blade for Khorne. Yeah. Oh, glad you enjoy the streams too. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I've heard very different stories from both sides, and I don't think either one is right. I think like any situation like that, the truth is somewhere in the middle. But it is funny hearing the different accounts from people who were there at the time. Right. Sweet. Yeah, these guys are... It's going fast. It's going pretty quick. Yeah. I like it. I have a cool unit of 10 Bloodletters after tonight. I'll probably go for some sort of like sandy color base. Actually, I know. I was thinking of doing like a lava base for these guys. I need to find what the like quickest, easiest lava base is. I think it's just painting the base like a mixture of like red and orange and stuff, and then putting the cracking paint on top of it, and then painting that black, so like the red and the orange and stuff show through. You know what I mean? Oh, I should actually probably turn this a little bit because I keep going like this. So let me adjust that a bit. There we go. That'll help both of us be more comfortable, hopefully. All right. Grellian Earth, yeah, something like that. Yep. Leroy Jenkins Reinhardt skin? That'd be neat. I'd definitely be in favor of that. You know, they do the crossover skins, so why not, you know? Bring it on, you know? That would be great, though. As someone who played WoW originally during the age of Leroy Jenkins and Ventrilo harassment and stuff like that, it's neat to see. Neat to see people still remembering Leroy. Thank you, Hearthstone. And WoW Classic, I guess. I've been playing the beta a little bit. Man, WoW Classic is so good. And when I say that, I'm not saying that Live WoW is bad, because I really like Live WoW too. But they both have their strengths and weaknesses at this point. I think Live WoW has the strengths of being an extremely deep and long-running world at this point. The story's been fun to watch unfold over the years. The game mechanics, like the game plays so smooth now. It's just a wonderful feeling MMO to play. I enjoy the PvP, I enjoy the exploration, all that kind of stuff. It is easy to get in groups and see all the content in the game now without having to be like a top tier raider. You know, again, like less than 1% of the player base in vanilla saw the inside of Naxxramas. So clearly, you know, that wasn't the best way. But at the same time, I will say that I do feel like things have gone a little bit too far in terms of ease of access in vanilla. When you go back, or not, when you get live rather. If you go back and play vanilla, one of the things that made vanilla WoW so great was that it was really hard. You know, the mobs hit hard. It was difficult to just go in and pull everything. You needed help to complete a lot of quests, and that made you group up with people. And the resources were very limited in vanilla too, you know? And that made you group up with people and have to make friends and interact with people. So I think vanilla did a really good job of being an MMO in that it forced you to interact with other players on a regular basis. And the best times I've had playing in WoW have been with people that I met just out questing, and I needed help with something, or they needed help with something, and we met up, started chatting, joined a guild together, and then you end up, you know, raiding with this person or these people for years, you know? And that's the experience I had. And I do feel that looking for group removes much of that experience. And right now, like, any elite quest in the game, you just click on a little icon and you get put in a group to do it. Any instance you want to do, you just click on a little icon, you get put in a group to do it. And there's no incentive at all to interact with the people in your group, unless it's to rage at them for doing a bad job of what their assigned roles are, right? And that's not a good multiplayer experience. That doesn't make any bonds of friendship or anything like that. So that's the biggest issue with current WoW, is that there's no reason to really interact with anybody else, which is weird. It's a weird problem for an MMO to have, but that's the problem that the game has right now, is that there's not enough forced human interaction, you know, which you need to force. If you're going to have an MMO, you need to force people to interact. Otherwise, there's just going to be no community, right? And so I guess, now that I've started talking about that, I have to talk about how I would fix it, right, if it were me. And I would never claim to be a game developer or like someone good at being, you know, in the developing mindset, but I would do things like take away the automatic grouping up for elite quests. I would make it so that I would actually eliminate Group Finder, honestly, for instances. I think it's important to make a group and go there, you know, go to the instance yourself, right? I would make it so that you could summon people with only 1% of the stone, which I think you can do now anyway. I would keep that, but I would eliminate Group Finder and auto teleporting to dungeons. Yeah, I think that would help a lot. Maybe make the quest a little bit harder too. Make the resources in the game a little bit slimmer. Yeah, I think all those things would be useful things. Let's see, what am I going to do next? I'm going to hold off on the black. I want to wait for that. I think what I will do is this banner. And this banner I will do with Skeleton Horde. Which, like I said, was a... Skeleton Horde is kind of like a light brown. Which I think will be good for the banner. Good base color for me to paint on. Yep. Yeah, there we go. I don't know. Not a lot of strong opinions about WoW in chat, apparently. Because I love WoW, don't get me wrong. I still play live a lot. I really enjoy it. But as a multiplayer game, I think live WoW could take a few lessons from vanilla WoW. And I do wonder with vanilla WoW coming out how much that might actually happen. Yeah. Alright, time to try some Skeleton Horde on this banner. Should be cool. Let's use our shade brush again. And this is going to look a lot like a shade when I put it on. And I have to do it quick because I don't want to get any like messy lines on the actual banner itself. It might end up messy anyway. We'll see what happens. I've never used it on a piece like this. Trying not to leave brush marks any more than I can, or need to rather. I think this is okay actually. Trying to remove a little bit of the pooling here. Other than that, I think that's an okay look for that, I think. It's kind of a long surface to use the contrast paints on. And I feel like the contrast paints maybe don't work quite as well on big surfaces, but this is kind of a test of that right now. I'm not going to worry about the back as much as I'm going to worry about the front. Yeah. But honestly, I think that's okay. I'm just going to leave that dry for a while now. Oh, no. There. All right. Cool. All right. Corn should be allowed to be a little bit messy. You know, it makes sense. Yeah. going to now move on to, let's go, the black yet? Yeah. Oh no, wait, I was going to use a little bit of Skeleton Horde on that horn too. I'll do that real quick first as well. Let's see, I'm going to move banner guy up here, out of the way. Horn guy will be here. I need a small brush for this. So, there we go. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this up to the end of it. Not all the way to the end of it though. I'm going to make like little lines kind of. And I'm going to do like just the edge. There. I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to go in and do a darker color a little bit later in the same spot. There's a little bit of red on it. I could have touched it up with a white first too. I probably should have done that, but whatever. It's chaff. All right, let's see. Next color. I think we can move on to black now. I mean, I liked some of the Warcraft movie, but I don't know. I'd have to go back and rewatch it again, but I feel like the orcs were interesting. But I think it was one of those things where it's like you get excited about making a Warcraft movie, you want to include like so much with it, you know? But at the end of the day, you can only include so much in a movie, and so because of that, you end up maybe doing a little bit too much, or trying to do a little bit too much in one movie. I feel like that's kind of where that one ended up. Doing a little bit too much. You really have to shake these paints a long time, by the way. So this black, I'm going to go over some of the horns, some of the tongues, maybe the nails, and the sword. So there's a lot to do with this one. Yeah, I mean, if it did well in China, it's a pretty big market, obviously. Shaking the contrast paint. We've gone 2 hours already, but I'm going to keep going a little bit longer. I'm in the zone. Alright, that should be enough. Hopefully. Alright. So, obviously, this is pretty dark stuff, so need to try to put it on as carefully as possible. And I'm not going to get a lot on my brush. The first thing I'll do is try to just do the horns with it. There we go. But I want to try to like blend it a little bit if I can, you know? It's going to be a little bit tougher to do this part. I might take a couple coats too, to really blend it in with the red. Get a little bit more on the brush here. Seems like it's kind of pooling a little bit weirdly on the horn. That's strange, didn't expect that. Just gonna put it on the tongue too. Make the tongue a little bit darker. There. Could just put it on all the fingernails too, I suppose. It's not bad. Do it on the toes too. All right. Yeah, you can kind of see how it's working out. Like I might go in and do a second layer on the horns later, but for now it's okay. And then I'm going to put it on the sword here. And I'll put it on this metal as well. I'm probably going to take most of it off the metal though. I kind of want it to be just like a darker metal, you know? Oh, but I was going to put red on the end. That's right. All right. See if I can like take some of it off the end. Nope, too late. Oh well, that's fine. He'll just have a bit of a darker sword. That's all right. All right. Yeah, and so now you see that it really darkens up the metal a little bit. I think that's going to look good when it's done. When it's done drawing and stuff. And add a little bit more to the horns. And this might be a pretty good process where I do the first coat on the horns and then I do the other details and then I go back to blend the horns a bit more. Yeah, that's going to be probably pretty good. Nice. Yeah, that looks a lot better with adding some more to it. Add some to this horn as well. And I made the teeth black on the other guy. But I want to add some white too. I'm going to do the black teeth over white later. But yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Not bad. Well, I should do something on the... I'll do brown on the back here. So, alright, let's see. So this guy needs the black on the horns as well. It does act similar to Nuln Oil, but remember it's going to continue to pull more away from the high parts and into the recesses than a shade would. These are kind of like super shades almost. And this I'm going to do the horn right up to the face. With no blending, I'm just going to let the red show through there. Yeah, this just looks cool. Trying to remember to blink. Not easy sometimes. Yeah, that'll look really cool. Fingernails. Laying that on nice and thick. Kind of going a little bit overboard with the fingernails because remember I want it to look good from like 3 feet away, you know? And then the sword. Bring the black most of the way up the blade, but not all the way. I'm going to add some red to the tip of that blade. Yeah, okay. Oh yeah, toes too. This is definitely going to be the most time-consuming part of this, is doing all the toes and all that, you know. And knee spikes. Gotta get the knee spikes. Seems like it'd be really inconvenient to have knee spikes, you know. I know. Whenever you like kneel, you get stuck to the ground. All right. Yeah, I'm liking that. Cool. Oh, and his tongue too, right? I was going to add a bit of that to the tongue. Right. All right. Neat. I don't know why you guys can see that, but the horns look really neat with that added on there. Yeah. Hey, it's cool. I like it. Alright. Probably wash out the brush and shake it now. Yeah, I know, right? I agree. Like, yeah, if you tried to like squat with like back of your leg, like calf horns, then you'd be in some danger. There'd be some awkward situations there. That's for sure. Yeah. I'd be concerned. Alright. A little bit more of the black on our third guy. This is definitely going to take the longest time, but it's worth it because it's going to look great. Definitely understanding more about like blending this now too. So I don't really need to blend it that much at the bottom because it'll look more blended when I add the darker coat on top. So that's okay. Alright, then, yeah, toenails. I always forget the toenails. And again, I'm being pretty messy with this because it is just chaff, you know. It is just battle-ready models, or table-ready models that we're doing here. Gotta, of course, hit the webcam as much as possible. I'm really curious how this look is going to be after it dries for a bit. That'd be pretty neat. All right, layer number 2. Oh yeah, that darkens it up really nicely. But it's sort of this like deep red that blends pretty well with the layer below it. Yeah, that looks really good. I don't know if you can see it on screen, but I think I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. Let's do some of the other little tertiary horns here. He does not have calf spikes, so he's okay. All right. So I'm like covering his face. He's like, no, don't hit me. All right. Do another one here. Another one. Horn spikes first, or horns first, rather. Trying to blend it a little bit at the base of the skull, but not really trying too hard because it's the second coat again that's really going to make the biggest difference. This guy's got like a corn thing in his head. I'll have to like hit that later with some copper or something like that. Man, this is so much faster though, honestly. Like, I know I've been at this for a couple hours, but to get this far in just that amount of time is crazy compared to like what it used to take to do something like this to this point. This has gone blazingly fast. This is like Titans setting records on maps that they're pushing payloads on fast. This is like the Warhammer painting version of that. Which means I'm the Warhammer painting version of the Vancouver Titans. which may or may not be true. Alright, let's see. His tongue keeps getting in the way. Move it, tongue. Alright. And fingernails. Toenails. And then going back for that second coat on the horns. Yeah, it's that second coat that really looks good. I'm gonna have to shut the door. My wife's having a very loud phone conversation with a friend or business associate, it sounds like. Alright, yeah, check that out. Oh, that's sick. Look at the horns. They're so cool. Nice. Okay. I'm doing a 1,000 point corn army. That's the plan. So it'll be 20 of these guys, and then it'll be, I'll show you again, the Skull Taker. This is the general of the army. He's already done, and he's looking cool. So he's a general. He likes to take skulls. He's very enthusiastic about his job. He was done the old traditional painting style. But then the rest of the models are going to be pretty much done contrast paint wise. That's the plan anyway. Okay. I got like way too much paint on this guy's horns this time. It's alright. Not every model can be perfect. As perfect as I am, it's just not always possible, you know. to seep some of that up. Or sop some of it up. I don't know. Either way, I got to get paint off of the bottom of this horn. It's like way too much. There. Alright, that's way better. I'm going to wash my brush off too. I got way too much of it on there. Hello, kind Haru. How are you doing tonight? Good? I hope so. I'm doing good. I'm having a ton of fun testing these new, trying out these new contrast paints. Seeing how fast I can get a Demons of Khorne pack of Bloodletters done. The answer is apparently pretty fast. Alright, yeah, I'm going really dark with the second coat on the horns. It's looking decent. Does anyone else just hate painting toenails? I don't know. Not in real life. I'm talking about like on the models. It's just so uninteresting to me. But I do it anyway. There. A few more little spikes on the side of the head. This guy is good. So we got 5 of them. Pretty much done. Time to shake this a little bit more. Ugh. Yeah, that's the thing. It's not a wash. It's the contrast paint. So it's sort of it shades and highlights at the same time. Not to like the best degree as actually shading and highlighting. I'd say it does about as good a job of shading as shading does. Highlighting a little bit less so, but either way, it turns out well. I'll show you the first one I did. But yeah, you can see this guy's pretty much table ready. I have to go back and do the teeth and the eyes and the little details, but if I can get him in focus. And I swear, like, he's not as shiny as he is on the webcam. This guy turned out really, really great. Yeah. Need to do a bit more work, but if I had to put these on a table and play a game, I'd be pretty satisfied with that. Yeah. Like I said, the real crazy results with the technical paints are, you know, stuff like this. This guy turned out so good. I'm trying to find the sweet spot for focusing. Yeah, where that's all technical paint over the silver. But I really like the blue on his arms and stuff. And there's no shading, no highlighting. That's all just that. If you look at like the little highlights on the raised edge of the gold boots there, that's all just technical paint doing that. Yep, Thundrix Profiteers, you got it. And then I did this Nergal Pox Walker with contrast paints as well. You can see it turns out really, really well. Yeah. Yeah, so there you go. So, in the middle of working on some Khorne demons now. All right. Trying to get the black wash on the horns and stuff like that done. I'm kind of like working to distribute this between the two horns to make it a little bit more, you know, a little bit more blended, I guess you could say. That's the word I was looking for. Blended, yes. And these kind of remind me a little bit of the technical paints, um, the ones that you use for gems and things like that, because they're a little bit heavier, and so you can kind of put them on and then pull them into position, sort of. And they'll still go down, and they'll move off of the highlights and stuff like that, but they can be kind of moved around a little bit, you know. Yeah. So I'm using them to give the like tongue and things I've already painted a little bit more definition, but I'm also using them to just straight up paint other parts of the model, like this. They're what I'm finding is that they're really versatile. Like they're definitely going to be useful in terms of like painting really good competition ready models. They've definitely got uses there that I probably haven't even thought of yet. But again, like the point of them is to just get things battle ready quickly. But I think they're going to end up being a lot more practical than that when it comes to really incorporating them into your miniature painting toolbox. Pretty sick. I think GW really knocked it out of the park with these. I'm being messy with the feet because I don't care. No one's going to be looking at my demon's feet. Well, you know, I don't think most people would be. You never know. Yeah, this two-step technique with the horns is really turning into some pretty great results. Very happy with it. Neat. Looking pretty good. All right, let's see. That guy's done. Another one. Another one. Yeah. No, I agree. Like that's totally true. That the biggest barrier to entry was the idea of the feeling of needing to have painted models to play the game, because obviously it is like kind of a stigma if you try to play the game and your army isn't painted. It's just a bunch of gray plastic on the board. It doesn't feel good, and you're worried about like what other people think of you and all that, you know. That is true. So this is a great way for people to kind of overcome that, you know. It's pretty amazing idea. Pretty amazing science that they managed to find to make this work, you know. I am very impressed. It's definitely going to change my painting a lot. I'll be able to get a lot more done with that. Unfortunately, they don't really help me on my current painting project because I'm doing a Stormcast Eternal Color scheme that relies on the models being sprayed black, and obviously these wouldn't work over models that were primed black. But for my other projects, they're going to be really nice, really useful. Yeah. Let's see. Like, I really like the way that it's turning out on these swords. And again, I'm kind of like pulling it up towards the top because I intend on doing a bit more red contrast painting on it. There. Yeah, it's looking good. Yeah. I mean, I've played like so many games where a ton of my army is still gray plastic. Like my shop doesn't really care about it. They you know, they're not going to tell you that. They're not going to give you a hard time for not having your models painted. I mean, they might a little bit, but in like a joking way, not really in a serious way. You know? So, it never really bothered me, but I'm personally bothered by not having my own models painted on the board, you know? Although I think it's like a sales thing too, right? I mean, if somebody comes in and they see a bunch of unpainted models on the board, I don't know if they're going to be less likely to buy things, but it's probably better if you have like painted models on the board that are being played with when someone's coming in and shopping for the first time, maybe. I don't know. Hard to say. I'm being very lackadaisical with the black on the sword. As long as I've got good coverage on the sword, you know, I'm happy with that. I'm surprised at like how decent of a wet blending effect I'm getting just with like 2 layers of this. Because this is another kind of thing where it would take definitely a lot more attention to detail on a normal model, you know? Yeah. Ooh. All right. Painting is, the model painting is going good. Yeah, it's going great. Getting a lot done. Gonna have 10 guys table ready shortly. And the amazing thing is that it's going to be about 2 hours of work. I started the stream at 8:30, but I didn't really start painting until like, you know, maybe 20 minutes after that. And I've been going slow to kind of like demonstrate things and show things, so I could do this even faster. But even at this speed, it's pretty nice. Because it's only, what, like almost 11? So it's like a little over 2 hours right now. And I'm nearly done with, or I'm nearly like table ready with 10 models. Like that's so fast. So just in terms of like getting things on the board quickly, it's going to be nothing better than this. It's really impressive. Probably go in and fix the horn a little bit later. I don't know. We'll see. Again, the goal is to just have something table ready, not necessarily like looking great. And I think it looks pretty great regardless. All right. Toenails. I might have forgotten the toenails on a couple of these guys, but whatever. Toenails are boring. Toenails on models are boring. You heard it here first. It's my official stance on toenail painting on models. It is dull. All right, so got like one more to do here. Probably should have shaken this a while ago. In fact, I will do that right now. Yeah. I probably won't play against In Control because he actually is a competitive player and I just play for fun. I'm more into the painting side than the competing side. And he also plays 40k, and I play Age of Sigmar. But I would love to play some games just because it'd be a lot of fun. I'd probably learn a lot. It'd be really cool. I see him every once in a while because they do They shoot the WCS stuff in the same building that they do the Overwatch League. It's just in a different soundstage down the hall. And so I see him every once in a while, but you know, don't really have much time to do anything other than just say hi, unfortunately. Maybe later. Be fun to hang out for sure. But yeah, he's definitely an inspiration on the competitive side of things. I just don't think I'm ever gonna have time to like be good enough to compete, you know? Not to mention, like, I'm competitive in everything else, right? I mean, like, I play Overwatch on the ladder, I play, you know, pretty much everything else I do in life is competitive. So it's nice to have something where I can play a game, and yes, it's a game competing against other people, but unless I'm in a tournament, it's just for fun, you know? It's nice to play games just for fun sometimes, too. Believe it or not. I'm being so lazy with these feet. I just don't care. To be kind of careful I don't hit the banner, I guess. Alright, well, I suppose I could use this on this area too. On the icon and stuff. To make it, give it a bit more of a burnished sort of look to it. All right. By the way, the banner turned out pretty well. The banner itself, like this fabric, I think turned out pretty stellar. Haven't decided what look I want for the like haft of it. But anyway, that's pretty much all the black for now. Yeah, that's cool. So you want me to paint 40K stuff? I probably will at some point. I have done some 40K stuff in the past. I'm very slowly working on a 40K army. Let me close this first. There we go, yeah. I'm doing a Space Marine and Knights army with the Sons of the Phoenix color scheme. So it's white armor with like a bit of purple and then gold trim, which I find really cool. And it's I'm a fan of like Fulgrim, so these are like redeemers of like Fulgrim's gene seed, basically, if you're familiar with the 40K lore. Supposedly they've descended from Nergal Dorn, but we all know they're called Sons of the Phoenix. Come on, man. Yeah. So I'm kind of working on that in my spare time. Yeah. Yeah, I've done some kill teams. I do play a little bit of kill team. Like I did some Necrons, and I've done some Imperial Fist Astartes for kill team stuff. Yeah. Yeah, totally Sons of Nergal Dorn Kappa. Yeah. And I took second place in a Space Marine Heroes painting competition with this guy, the Space Marine captain that I did last year. Yep. Out of like 60 or so people. I took second, so I was pretty happy with that. Could have done a little bit better, but you know, I'm happy with it, I guess. Yeah. Try to stop my hand from shaking. It's been holding things up for a long time. Yeah. This is this was a fun contest because we got a Space Marine Heroes figure, a random one, and then you had to get a random Marine paint color scheme. So this is like the Sons of the Lion or something like that, or Lion Warriors. So they're not Imperial Fists. They've got sort of like gold armor, essentially. But yeah, the Power Sword was fun. Power Sword technique was fun to learn. Anyway, he resides on top of my monitor now. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I'll show you another one. Well, I can show you two things. So this is the first model I ever painted, actually. So look at like how messy like the legs are and stuff like that and everything. Like, it's not great. It's not even highlighted. But that's the first model I ever painted. I kept it. It sucks pretty much, but it just goes to show like anybody can like make some pretty nice progress over a short period of time. But yeah, that was fun. Yeah, it's Sigmarine. And then if you're into Power Sword action, I did a Adeptus Custodes Redemptor Dreadnought, and so I got to have fun with like a nice Power Sword thing on that. So I did a lot of modding on this one. This one is really kit bashed with some Adeptus Custodes bits and a Redemptor Dreadnought to make it look cool, you know, and all that. So this one was a lot of fun to do. Yeah. Not very useful in-game, but just like a cool 40k model to have. So I really like the Redemptor Dreadnought like look. No, it was never in a contest or anything like that. I just built it for my own army. I was playing against Semler a lot in 40k last year, and so that's where that was painted for, is our games. It's kind of become show and tell right now as I wait for things to dry, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I did some Necrons as well. But those guys are like the easiest models in the world to paint. You just dry brush them and then you paint like little stuff. So Necrons are super simple. Another kill team thing, you know. Yeah, and that's about that. Looking around in my collection. Oh yeah, well here's a nice 40k thing. So this is, I'm not gonna play them, but this is one I really had a lot of fun painting. But the Death Killer Wartrike, one of the new orc vehicles. So I painted this early this year, I think it was. But it turned out really nice, and I absolutely love all the little details on it. The little guy in the back holding the gas tank, the little like grot in the back holding the gas tank. The different engines, the wheels and everything. So this was a really fun one to paint. Yeah. That was neat. So I have done some 40k stuff. I don't really play it, but I do like painting some of the models sometimes. So there you go. So there you go. There's some 40k stuff for you. Yeah. So it's about 11:15 here. I've gotten these guys to a point I'm pretty happy with. I'm gonna do a little bit more work on them, but yeah, I mean, if you remember, these guys are pure white at the beginning of the night, and they are pretty much table ready. They are, you know, ready to hit the board and wreck some faces. So yeah, that's gonna be which night am I gonna do? I'm working on a Castellan, but I haven't even finished building him, so it's gonna be a while. The big one. But yeah, so that's gonna be about it for the stream tonight. Like I said, I'm gonna do Gonna do painting streams on Mondays from now on. At what point in Monday, I do not know yet. It's just gonna depend on the day with my schedule. So, yeah, that's about it. So, thanks for watching, guys. Yeah, I'll catch you next week. Other than that, watch the Overwatch League so I can eat. And that's about that. See ya. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna scoot over here and turn the stream off. Goodbye. Goodbye. Have a good night.